This is Twit.
The Chrome developers announced plans to bring Chrome apps to Android someday. That's right. Let's get incestuous here. Chrome apps on top of Android. They'd be delivered via the Play Store, and they cautioned that this wouldn't be happening soon because, of course, there are a lot of hurdles to overcome, but it's on the map. This I'm actually excited by. Remember a couple of years back when all the talk was about the new Chrome or whatever, Google OS. This brings them one step further. Of course, it's going to be platform agnostic, but if I can now access my favorite Chrome apps without actually having to fire up a browser, it brings me one step further to having the experience the way I want it. Jason, what do you think?
I'm just fascinated by, I feel like we've been dancing around the merging of Chrome OS and Android for so long, and this is kind of indication that there really is something to that. You know what I mean? Like we hear these comments here and there. Now they're basically saying, yes, they're apps that don't require a browser and they could run like an app on your desktop or, you know, by the way, on your Android device, and we're bringing it to Android. I just don't understand. Like, it kind of makes my brain explode a little bit. I'm trying to figure it out exactly and figure out like why I would choose to run a Twitter Chrome app on my Android device as opposed to
just running.
Like what would the benefit be? I understand the benefit on Chrome OS. I love Chrome OS. My opinion on it has completely changed since this last I/O and my experience with the Pixel. You know, I love this thing. And so I'm not necessarily against the idea. I'm just trying to figure out like why.
I'm thinking it's a developer.
Makes my brain hurt.
Right, Gina? I mean, if I can write a single set of code and have it work across browsers, across desktops, as a developer, that's an option I want. I don't want to have to write the browser app and then the iOS app and then the Android app and then the Windows app and the OS X app. If I can write it once and sell it many times, that's attractive.
Yeah, especially that if you can write it in web technologies, right, which are so easy and universal. So these apps are going to be distributed through the Play Store on all different OSs, right? So Windows, Mac, Linux. These apps are platform agnostic then.
Yeah. Well,
that's what they're saying.
We're so far out from it. I mean, they acknowledge that this is not going to happen anytime soon. We're so far out from it that this is kind of still the dream stage. We kind of know the technology that needs to go to make this work. The only question is how they're going to market it.
Right. I mean, this is kind of mind-blowing. Because you're like, oh, this is okay. So now Chrome and Android, if this actually comes to fruition, Chrome and Android truly are competing against one another head to head, right? They're both selling out. You know, you're distributing apps through the Play Store for both these platforms. One is for all different platforms, and you have that write once, run anywhere advantage for developers, and the other is for Android apps only. I also would love to see this play out on iOS. I mean, can you imagine going to the Google Play Store on iOS and installing a Chrome app on your iDevice? Like,
I know, wow, yeah,
so crazy. That seems like that seems insane.
And then my head exploded.
And then your head exploded. But you know, I feel like so many companies have tried this so many times. I mean, how many times has been this promise of like packaged web apps that you can, you know, run, you know, there were widgets on Windows that were, you know, HTML based and then, you know, and then there were, you know, web technology based native apps. And then Facebook said, no, the native code is better. I mean, I think that building, I know for a fact that building native mobile apps in particular, two different ones for the two major operating systems that I care about anyway, is a huge pain. It's a cost and it's difficult. And so the write once, run anywhere promise is very appealing, but no one has been able to pull it off. And this does seem more like a pipe dream than anything else. But I'd like to see Chrome and Android compete more head to head and see who comes out in the end.
The highway through the history of programming is littered with the corpses of common platform initiatives. I mean, we hear this everyone. This was supposed to be the big thing about Windows 8 Metro or whatever. I'm still going to call it Metro, right? Which is write it once, it'll work on the Xbox, it'll work on your phone, it'll work on your tablet, it'll work on your desktop. And what people realize is, yeah, you could kind of do that. It will kind of work.
But is that ideal?
It's not ideal. If you tune it, it'll work better.
Right.
And then you've just lost your common platform.
Strange.
This was the promise of Java. I mean, this was the promise of Java. Now Java is basically a language where you write Android apps in. I mean, you know. But this is, I mean, this is particularly interesting because the web technology is right, and Windows tried this with Metro. So I don't know. Part of me is like, if anybody can pull this off, Google can. But at the same time, Google's been distributing web apps through the Chrome Web Store for a while now, and that hasn't exactly been like a huge success.
You know what? The more I think about this, it reminds me of the Air apps.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah,
the Adobe
yes,
Air
yes,
apps,
that was the
which you
promise.
got
Air
through
apps,
the
yes.
Play Store, and it's kind of the same thing, right?
Which was cool at first, and then people started saying, "Damn it, Air! Why are you resource hogging? Why are you crashing?"
It was interesting at first, but then when you really started to play around with some of those apps, it was a resource hog, and it just was not ideal. It was not the ideal way to do that. The ideal way was an app that was developed specifically for Android, not running through an Air container or whatever you want to call it.
Right.
It's kind of the same thing.
The Java runtime was a hog. The Adobe runtime was a hog. Now, I mean, if Chrome has anything, it's really fast code, right? That runs really fast on any device. So Google has a there's a possibility there that Chrome could be running in the background and not killing your CPU and able to have these apps run in the foreground. But no one else really has been able to pull that off.